If you ask me how I can survive in this crisis situation, I have something to tell you about. I have no debt at all for about 4 years now. If you have one, we will talk about it later, but let me tell my story first. Well, we take a debt to help us to grow our business. We take a debt to help us to have some stuff that we want. We take a debt to do something that we are dreaming of. For example, traveling, having our dream house, having our dream cars, and the other things. I had a debt until around 4 years ago, and until that time, I had my own house, my own office building, 3 cars, 2 motorbikes, and another fancy things. But because I have bills that I have to pay every month, I have to work very hard every day. I even didn't enjoy my fancy things. All I am focusing was working to pay all my bills. Until one day, my father retired from his jobs and he still had ongoing debts that obviously he couldn't pay because he's no longer having his salary. He came to me and I decided to sell my house to pay my father's debt and mine. Of course, before deciding to sell my house, I already talked to my father and my wife that after I sold my house, I, my wife, and my kids will live together in my father's house. Most people at that time were thinking like, why do you do that? Living in our own house is the dream of everyone. Or something like, living together with our parents where we are married will make so many problems, and the other thoughts. Well, at that time, my focus is simply to help my father, and I will figure out the other things later. And yes, to be honest, living with our parents while we are married has so many challenges. I cannot tell you the detail, but I guess you already know what challenges are they. But I always see the positive side, and I see that outside there are so many people that living together with their parents and they are married for a long time and they are okay. So I think I will be okay too. And actually, living at our own house also has so many challenges. So there is no different. Then after I paid off all my debt, this is very surprising. So my income is still the same number because my income is not depend on I have a house or not. But my expenses getting much more smaller because I no longer pay for debt bills. So in my father's house, I decided to pay all bills like electricity, water, because those are my usual expenses. And I am also giving money monthly to my mother for our everyday foods in our house. The more surprising thing is I and my wife got more freedom. I mean, usually in our house, we have to take care of our house by ourselves. And in my father's house, we share that task with my parents. And we can accumulate some cash to go traveling more, which we couldn't do that when I had a debt, at least not as often as I have no debt. And I became more relaxed, especially in earning money, because I don't have to push myself in my job to earn some money to pay something that I have to pay. And right now, I literally needs nothing. Means that as long as I have food on my table, I don't need anything else. I don't need to work more to pay anything else. And working for making sure that there are foods on our table is not as frustrating as working for to pay all the bills that actually we don't have to pay for it. And in this crisis time, I found that my financial pressure is not changing a lot. Yes, my income is decreasing drastically, but my biggest expenses also decreasing drastically. That is traveling expenses. And even we have much money, we cannot go traveling in this situation, right? So having no debt is really helped me to survive in this crisis time. Because if my income decreased drastically, but my expenses to pay debt bill stay the same, I will be crushed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.